Hello indie game fans, more great indie games released in March which I happened to miss, including a bunch of titles that released out of early access, a stealth launch or two, a WarioWare-like entry, a meme game and a pixel art tactics title, all this and more, coming up in this video. Let's begin with the Malaysian-made Eximius Seize the Frontline, releasing out of early access and is an interesting first-person shooter crossed with a real-time strategy game. While there have been games that tried to do this in the past, Battlefield's Commander mode in particular, to see an indie developer make a pretty polished one of this is an interesting note. It's a 5v5 competitive multiplayer game where one player is selected as the commander, having to spawn AI units, construct buildings and coordinate the attack, where the other four are boots on the ground officers. While seemingly a natural fit for this genre, where it's an issue is that I don't think that there's enough of a crossover between people who love shooters and real-time strategy games, so to mix them together might not have the effect that the developers hoped. The concern as always is player population, which doesn't seem to be too hot, peaking at 32 concurrent players as of recording, but if you can gather up a couple of friends, this may be worth exploring.
Hey buddy, are you fed up by all these buttons? Well, I've got the perfect game for you. Let me show you.
One of the cutest titles of last month is Rolling Hamster, a racing title where the vehicles are based on rolling hamster ball toys, and it's a one-button racing game which makes it mechanically interesting. Cute, small and whimsical, this should be fun with friends.
Enjoy it, but be careful. It's not as easy as it looks. You have to stay on track. Invite your friends to play. One keyboard fits 4 people. Keep on rolling. Push, shove and crash until you come out on top. How fun is that? Rolling Hamster. Available now on Steam.
Speaking of racing, Beach Buggy Racing 2 Island Adventure is a kart racer that looks pretty alright, being a simple looking one of these but does have the requisite variety in power-ups, levels, characters and more. There's yet to be a standout fantastic hit in the kart racer space on PC, so if you love Mario Kart and are looking for an alternative, do check this one out.
Earth used to be our home, until the nuclear catastrophe plunged it into chaos. Only few of us were able to flee to large bunker complexes. I was born there. I grew up in darkness.
A city building title of interest is Endzone: A World Apart, imagining a world enveloped by a nuclear disaster and humanity had to flee underground, and this tells the tale of our return to the surface 150 years later. I love survival city builders, so it did get my attention, and was another excellent example of early access done right, starting with a fantastic base without too many bugs, constant updates almost on a monthly basis, and gradually taking community feedback into account as well. While it doesn't stray into fantasy territory with super mutants and such, it's still a title of interest to fans of the genre.
Droughts and sandstorms plague us time and again. Consequences of the drastic destruction of our environment. But we weather these dangers. We forge ahead to make this world bearable again. and look with curiosity toward the future.
We have created a new home for ourselves in order to lead a happy life. And yet, no peace lasts forever. Some survivors envy our hard-won prosperity. We won't allow our success to be simply taken away from us. We have to act. And we'll overcome this threat too. Not only for ourselves, but to give our descendants a tomorrow. We will live on. It's up to you to build our future.
Are you ready? Get rolling!
I'll be honest, I did come across rolled out when looking for new releases but wasn't too impressed, but the larger Steam community seems to be based on reviews, so I thought you might want to take a look. It's a Super Monkey Ball style marble rolling platformer that looks to have some interesting level designs and is classic in that way, with early access planned for 12 to 18 months with more features, modes, levels and characters to be added.
Victory!
I got a secret for you. Sub Rosa was one of those titles that was playable, but in an early enough of an alpha state that the developers thought it wasn't quite ready and did make it unsearchable on Steam as a result.
Go time.
However, things have progressed far enough for it to now be publicly searchable, and is a first-person multiplayer crime simulator role-playing thing which seems to be of interest if you can get a group of friends together. But as with all online communities, do be wary of who you play with on public servers. Not quite Payday and not quite GTA Online, it's a curiosity for sure, and if you're not convinced, Devolver Digital is publishing this, so there is some precedent for being worth a look. Korean developer Growing Seeds has been making a number of fantastic looking visual novel adventure games based on classic works, with MazM, The Phantom of the Opera being the second entry on Steam following Jekyll and Hyde, and looks to be equally beautiful and a story worth revisiting. I promised a WarioWare-like title, so here it is with Pureya, a wonderful little title that has you switching minigames every 10 seconds, having 30 plus of these for variety, and even a meta progression layer where you collect marbles to unlock new features. It also has a simplified 2-button control scheme, making it accessible enough, and is simply a wonderful little game. Another title that got my attention throughout early access is GolfTopia, a tycoon game where you're building a golf course in the future. While I don't have any particular fondness for golf, I do love tycoon games, so it was of interest, and add to that the cyber futuristic aesthetic, and you got my attention. There are a whole bunch of interesting obstacles and features that you can place, and even play through the course yourself, making it a no-brainer for tycoon game fans. If you enjoyed tactics titles, Shachibato, Precedent It's Time for Battle, Maju Wars is an interesting Japanese SRPG that has you playing as the owner of a dungeon exploration company, having to recruit adventurers to do the dirty work while paying their salaries and getting loot from the dungeon. This released out of early access after a relatively short period of time and seems to be underrated, so do check it out and support if interested. I'm a sucker for classically designed JRPGs, even better when they use pixel art, so of course, Pixelot makes the list. What does seem to be quite the generic take, with a story that, I quote, has you gathering allies to defend against a darkness that has swept across the land, with 6 elemental crystals to collect and 15 dungeons to explore. But I do like the look and the genre, so it gets a nod. There are custom characters, 30 plus recruitable allies, an advanced job system, an infinite battle tower dungeon, legendary weapons, and even a post-game dungeon, so plenty to love for JRPG fans. An interesting looking low-poly roguelite platformer is Rumours from Elsewhere, set in an ancient fantasy world where you play as one of 10 characters seeking out the door of Elsewhere, which is said to grant any wish, but be wary of monsters, traps and hazards in the way. I think that it looks decent enough, but somehow has not managed to get any traction, so if the look appeals to you, do check this one out.
All these years of traveling, and yet I was afraid. Darkness enveloped me, but I was ready.
Hold on. Is this me? Oh no. Oh god. I'm a banana?
I believe this next title was set to launch on April Fool's Day, but due to time zones and such, did turn up as 31st March on my calendar, where of course, International Space Banana is one of the most meme games in recent memory. It's a frustration or rage game in the vein of Getting Over It, where you play as a man transformed into a banana, where the zero gravity shenanigans are the main draw. Some people may think that it's trying a little bit too hard, but I'm always giving developers the benefit of the doubt, so perhaps give this a go.
I mean, to be honest, it feels great. Let's get this banana moving.
An amazing and powerful looking simulation title last month is Creatura, one that allows you to breed and create life and complex ecosystems, all in the comfort of a virtual vivarium which looks pretty sweet. It's one of those sandbox, make your own fun type of experience, but it does look polished enough not to be a buggy mess, where I have seen my fair share of games that were like that, trying to do the same idea. As covered in yesterday's community post, I do like my tactics titles, and one of interest that I missed was REM Cycles, a vibrant pixel art title with a decent amount of depth. Ten people fell asleep and found themselves in someone else's dream and have to work together to figure out what is going on. While you do only pick a team of 4, there are narrative story arcs between the characters, which means some amount of replayability, so it does look to be a hidden gem, taking the #1 spot. For some of the best tactics indie games available out there, check out this video above and I will see you after the jump.